Hi, I'm Scott. Welcome to Synth Stuff. Today we're going to be talking about everything we know about the new Montage Plus coming up next. Okay, well that's kind of a clickbaity intro. We don't know that there is a Montage Plus yet, but all signs point to there being something big. As Yamaha says in their press release, this year at NAMM, Yamaha will introduce breakthrough products at the show across multiple musical categories, including piano, synthesizer, winds, acoustic guitar, drums and percussion, and professional audio. Well, synthesizer could mean CK, but that's already been released, so that means they have a synthesizer announcement coming at NAMM. And Blake Angelos, who is the Yamaha rep that runs the Tech Talk YouTube channel, has said that the first episode of Season 4, which airs on April 4th, right around NAMM, will be, quote, a very special one. So we can expect something new coming, so now we have to delve into the evidence to find out what that something is and what capabilities it's going to have. So if we remember last summer, all of a sudden, MODXs were completely unavailable. They went out of stock everywhere. Some dealers started saying, actually, sorry, it's been discontinued, we can't get them anymore. 2 months after that happened, the MODX Plus was announced. Surprise, surprise, that's the reason they all went out of stock and discontinued. Today, we have the exact same thing happening with the Montage. It's out of stock everywhere. Every major retailer is out of stock. There are some retailers who are now, if you ask them, will say that the Montage is discontinued. So, is the Montage truly discontinued, or is there something new coming to replace it? Or is there just a newer version of the Montage coming to replace it? So let's talk about what we know. The timing for the Montage to disappear from stores everywhere is particularly suspect, seeing as we have 3 weeks left until NAMM comes. NAMM being typically where new products are going to be announced, because North America Music Retailers trade show. What might be replacing or augmenting the Montage or the new Montage? So let's go back to June of 2022. Yamaha registered a trademark ANX, which could have been maybe an update to the AN1X synthesizer, which is a virtual analog synthesizer from the late 1990s. Maybe they're going to bring out a whole new virtual analog synthesizer. The music press seemed to think that's what was the case, that a new synthesizer was coming out. Others thought, no, I think it's going to be a new engine for the new MODX that's going to come out, which is, they think, well, the old MODX has been discontinued, so they're going to bring out a new one, and this is going to be the engine that's going to be in the MODX that they're going to be releasing. It turned out that wasn't the case at all. The MODX Plus came out, and it was pretty much the same as the old MODX, just with more memory and more polyphony for the FMX engine. However, then in August of 2022, the graphic logo for the ANX was actually trademarked as well. If you have a look at the original FMX logo, that is the FMX engine inside the Montage and the MODX, now have a look at the ANX logo that Yamaha trademarked. They're remarkably similar, which leads me to believe that ANX is not a hardware product, but ANX is actually a software engine for existing synthesizers. And being that the FMX engine is in the MODX and the Montage, it would make sense that the ANX engine is also intended for the MODX and the Montage. It would also make sense that being as the AN1X was a virtual analog synthesizer from Yamaha, that the ANX trademark represents a virtual analog engine for the MODX and the Montage. Is it the actual case? It remains to be seen. But clearly Yamaha is doing something with ANX, and they're going through the trouble and extreme expense of having logos designed and trademarks done and that sort of thing. Now let's talk about technical capabilities. The original MODX had a single SWP70 chip in it. The SWP70 chip is the chip that does all the heavyweight lifting in terms of producing sound. It has the AWM sample engine in it. It has the FMX synthesizer engine in it. It can do both. In the MODX, the SWP70 chip can do 128 voices of AWM sample-based sound, and it can also do 64 voices of FMX sound at the same time. Plus, it does all the digital effects. So it's a pretty beefy, hard-working chip. It has a lot of capability. The Montage has 2 of those chips, and the only difference in terms of voice capability between the 2 synths is that the Montage has more memory and it has an extra 64 voices of FMX. Now, if MODX's single chip can do 128 voices of AWM and 64 voices of FM at the same time, plus effects, and the Montage has a second chip and just an extra 64 voices of FM, that stands to reason there's a fair bit of extra horsepower left untapped within the Montage. Now, the MODX Plus adds more memory and equals the 128 voices of the FMX engine in the Montage. And it stands to reason that if they have maxed out that single chip on the MODX, the original MODX, that they would have to add a second SWP70 chip into the MODX Plus in order to give it the capability of having those extra 64 FMX voices. And to further back that up, the original MODX circuit board actually has a place, an unpopulated spot on the circuit board for a second SWP70 chip. So Yamaha actually designed, were forward-looking enough to put the design in the original MODX to allow it to be expanded to have a second SWP70 chip. So, if there is an AMX engine coming to the new Montage, because it has that spare capacity in the processing of those SWP70 chips, it is entirely possible that that capability could also be added to the MODX Plus. When this conversation came up on a local music forum, there was a survey done on what people would like to see in a new Montage, and here's some of the ideas they came up with. A larger, higher resolution touchscreen, that would be nice. Maybe something that doesn't use resistive touch, like a capacitive touch, like a cell phone maybe. A better and faster GUI, which, I mean, I actually like the GUI in here. Having it faster and more responsive would definitely be nice though. Somebody said that they would like the ability to support the output of the screen to a larger separate screen. Well, if you've watched my channel, you know that's already possible. You can do that on the MODX and Montage, and I actually have a video where I describe exactly how to do that and what equipment you need. I'll put a link to that in the description below. They wanted more sound engines. Well, we just talked about that. That would be nice. ANX, maybe. More memory, perhaps an SSD drive. Unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen because it's not like a computer architecture in terms of how it handles samples. It's not like a bunch of NAND storage where it's loading it into a different place. The memory is actually being addressed directly by the SWP70 chips. So unless those chips have the ability to directly talk to an SSD, that's probably not going to happen. True 256 note polyphony, again, unless they re-engineer those chips, which probably is not going to happen. Again, probably not an option, or unless they add more and more chips. Bluetooth audio, I suppose, but to me that's more of a consumer item. I don't really know what I would use for Bluetooth. Maybe as an input, so you could play a backing track through the thing. Maybe, I guess. Full sequential and pattern sequencers. They said they don't want to get rid of the sequencer that's in there, just they want to add a simple pattern sequencer like the TR Rex sequencer you would see in Roland products. Some new effects. I don't know about that. The Montage and MODX have so many effects. I suppose you could add some new whiz-bang stuff, but I've never been working with the effects on my MODX or Montage and said, gee, I wish it did this, because pretty much everything I ever wanted it to do, it does. Polyphonic aftertouch. Absolutely, I would love to see that in a Montage or a MODX. Probably would not happen in a MODX, but I'd love to see it in a Montage. Again, probably not going to be supported. Actually, I don't know. Does the Montage accept polyphonic aftertouch over MIDI? I have a feeling that it might. I'll have to try that sometime. I'll have to try to MIDI my Hydrasynth to the Montage and see if the Montage obeys the either MPE or the NERPins that the Hydrasynth sends. If that's the case, then adding polyphonic aftertouch to the keybed and the keybed controller is not an impossibility. So that would be nice to see. I looked it up. It doesn't support it. So probably not an option. Different colors for buttons that are dimmed. This one I agree with, because buttons that, the button that is selected here is bright and the ones that aren't selected are dim. I would love to see different colored buttons that indicate that, hey, this is able to be pressed, but it's not currently selected. Or, it turns red if this button's not available, or off if it's not available, or that sort of thing. Because when you have bright lights shining on here, it's really tough to tell the difference between bright and dark button lights. So that would be definitely one I'd like to see. And a digital audio output. I know some of the older Yamaha workstations had SPDIF digital outputs. It's a nice to have. I don't know that I would make use of it personally, but some people thought it would be nice. Those are some nice ideas that people had. How much of those would actually make it to a new product, who knows? But that's what seems to be the general consensus online. So what is the likelihood that a brand new Montage or Montage replacement is coming out? Based on the evidence we've seen, not likely that we are seeing a replacement for the Montage. Here's why. It's really hard to hide the existence of new hardware products, because there are so many regulatory agencies in so many countries that have to have approvals and filings done in advance before the item can be sold, and by virtue of them being with government agencies, that information is then made public. So for the CK61 and CK88 synthesizer or stage keyboards that Yamaha recently released, that was totally not a surprise, because the filings for those in various countries for the regulatory agencies in each of those countries occurred months and months and months ago, and they included quite a bit of details about what was actually being filed for. So one Yamaha finally came around and said, here's the new synthesizer, the stage keyboard, CK. It was not a surprise. What was a surprise was the actual capabilities of it, but the existence of it was not a surprise at all. We all knew about it. We knew what it was called. We knew what the name of it was. We knew the size, the appearance, and so I mean, it was not a surprise. So if there was a brand new replacement coming for the Montage, we would know about it, because filings would have been made months ago that we would be aware of. Keep in mind, when the MODX Plus came out, there were no filings of any kind for it, because it was substantially the same. The only difference between the two really was the different name on the outside and a few chips on the inside. So basically the MODX and the MODX Plus are the same product. So if they are bringing out a new Montage, call it a Montage Plus, it's probably going to be exactly the same as the existing Montage, with just some different circuitry inside that give it additional capabilities. A huge consideration for Yamaha is the cost of developing the operating system, the software, the samples, the effects, the patches, the presets. All of that is a tremendous cost, and they have to be able to sell enough units to recoup that initial investment in the development and ongoing development and upgrades of that software. They made a really intelligent decision by releasing the MODX, which uses essentially the exact same operating system and samples and effects and ostensibly hardware, because then they shared the cost, the development cost, between two separate units, and so they were able to recoup that cost in a much easier and faster way. Why would they then abandon the Montage and create something entirely new that uses a different operating system and it works completely differently, and abandon the MODX Plus, which they just brought out? So it's my thought that anything new that comes out as a Montage replacement or expansion is going to be primarily the same, because they need to maintain compatibility with the MODX, the MODX Plus. They want to be able to share patches between them. They want to be able to share firmware between them, and they want to be able to share as much as the underpinnings as possible between those two products, because forking off and creating a new incompatible product is incredibly costly, especially if it's a lower volume professional product like the Montage. Yamaha knows that there is a product path between the MODX and Montage. People that buy MODX sometimes they'll say, wow, I really like this. I wish I had a big one that I could use in my studio and buy the Montage. Similarly, they know the MODX is portable, so they might have a Montage in the studio and buy a MODX to actually tour with. So having the ability to transfer patches and backups and things between those two keyboards is a huge selling advantage. So I don't think they'd be too quick to abandon that either. So my prediction for NAMM of this year is that we're going to see a new Montage, call it a Montage Plus. It may have some expanded memory, expanded capability inside, but I think we're going to see the ANX engine added to the new Montage. And my other prediction is that either at NAMM or shortly after NAMM, we're also going to see a firmware release for the MODX Plus that adds that same ANX capability to it in order to maintain compatibility between the two. So another engine for both synthesizers. That's my guess. That's my educated guess. I hope I'm right. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments in the comments section below. If you have any other insight or information, pointers to any kind of leaks, let us know. Put it in the comments section below. If you like what you saw here, think I'm right, hey, click like. If you think I'm just talking out my rear end and I'm got it totally wrong, click like. And either way, if you click like, it really lets us know that you like what we're doing here, that this is the type of content you want to see, and it shows this to other people who might also be interested. Same thing goes if you click subscribe, then you get to see everything we put out that is like this, and every time we post a video, you get notified. If you have any questions, comments, corrections, anything at all, take just 10 or 15 seconds, leave a comment in the comment section below. I read everything you guys write, and I really appreciate the feedback because you guys give me some really great ideas for videos. I know I recently did one on FMX sound design on the MODX and Montage. I thought it was going to be a one-off, but I got so much feedback from people who loved it and want to see more that I am definitely going to do more FMX sound design stuff in the near future. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching.